Israel is reportedly considering to buy the P-8 Poseidon, an advanced aircraft built to hunt submarines and track warships. The possible purchase comes as Israel grows increasingly wary of Turkey's expanding naval power. So, is Israel preparing for a new security challenge in the West Asian region? Take a look.
Israel would soon have a new submarine hunter. The country's defense establishment is reportedly considering buying the P-8 Poseidon. Developed for the US Navy, the P-8 is one of the world's most advanced maritime patrol aircraft. Its key mission is finding and tracking submarines. The aircraft comes with powerful radar, acoustic systems, and infrared sensors. It can also carry torpedoes and other weapons to strike targets above and below the water, and it has an operational radius of around 2,200 kilometers. But Israel's interest in the aircraft comes at a significant moment. Israel is increasingly watching Turkey's military build-up. Turkey has one of the region's most powerful navies. It operates more than 10 active diesel-electric submarines, and newer submarines with air-independent propulsion are being added to the fleet. Turkey also operates frigates, corvettes, missile vessels, and amphibious forces. Amid growing hostility between Israel and Turkey, US House has passed $1.15 trillion military bill expanding Israel cooperation. Trump has said the increase is necessary as the US fights a widely unpopular war on Iran. For Israel, the concern is that years of political hostility could eventually spill over into military friction. Israeli Minister Amihai has even warned about possible direct contact between the two militaries at the sea. He said such a scenario could happen as early as tomorrow morning. There is, however, no indication that a direct Israel-Turkey confrontation is imminent. And there is no P-8 deal yet. Cost remains a major obstacle. But the aircraft could become more viable if it is included in a wider agreement with Washington. Israel already says it has strong anti-submarine capabilities. The P-8 would take those capabilities further, as Israel keeps a closer watch on what is happening both on and beneath the Mediterranean.
There is only one country in the world that has crossed the nuclear line, and that is the United States. The US dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan during World War II. The first was on Hiroshima and the second on Nagasaki. The bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima was called the Little Boy. It killed more than 150,000 civilians in seconds. The Little Boy holds the title for the most deaths caused by a single weapon. 81 years have gone by, but Japan still battles with the bomb's radiation. Fast forward to this week, the United States has inducted a new nuclear weapon. It is called the P6113. And do you know what's frightening? This bomb is 13 times lighter than the one dropped on Hiroshima, but 24 times more powerful. Our next report gives you all the details.
The United States has just inducted one of its deadliest weapons, the 13th edition of the B-61 gravity bomb, also known as the B-6113, and Washington calls the induction diamond stamping. Sounds glamorous, right? But in the world of weapons, a diamond doesn't symbolize love, it symbolizes readiness. So when the US says it has diamond stamped the B-6113, what it really means is that the bomb is officially part of the nuclear arsenal. So what exactly
they have become harder to intercept. Some are maneuvering more aggressively, changing their flight path at least twice before impact. Some missiles are striking with greater precision. Others are working alongside drones to confuse American air defense systems. US officials say the warfare is evolving faster than expected. So, what exactly has Iran changed? The first change is the strategy. In the opening weeks of the war, Iran's strategy relied on volume. Tehran fired hundreds of missiles and drones to overwhelm US air defense systems, and that has worked. As per reports, US bases in the Gulf are running low on interceptor missiles. The supply is unable to meet the demand. And now Iran has changed its tactics. Fewer missiles are being fired, but they are more advanced. They can make split-second maneuvers, juking the incoming interceptor missiles. The result? Direct hits on US military infrastructure. So how are the missiles evading interception? Because of something known as MAV, that stands for Maneuverable Re-Entry Vehicle. A MAV is a ballistic missile warhead. It changes trajectory and shifts its flight path in its final stage, just before the main impact. This particular unpredictable move makes interception extremely difficult. That is why US air defense systems are struggling, and Iran is increasingly making these warheads in its underground missile cities. The IRGC has upgraded two of its main missiles. They carry these particular warheads now. The most lethal is called the Fatah 1. This missile has movable nozzles, fins attached to the missile booster that help in changing direction. And then there is the Khyber Sheikhan. It has special fins on the warhead. They help make the missile lateral shifts during descent. So Iran is firing missiles that can trick air defense systems. And that's only half the story. US intel says Tehran is getting support from allies. The Pentagon claims Russia and China are indirectly involved. As per reports, Moscow and Beijing are providing satellite imagery and crucial intel about US troop movements. This has helped Iran hit American targets with precision. Over the weekend, Iranian missiles struck Wafaq and Aqaba air bases in Jordan, killing at least two US troops. Iran also struck an ammunition depot in Kuwait's Camp Udeiri, along with a radar system in Ali Al Salam Air Base. The United States has also accepted damage to its bases in Qatar and Bahrain. Two Iranian missiles in particular are responsible for this: the Imad and the Ghadar. These missiles have advanced nose cones. They can be guided using satellite-based coordinates that Russia and China are giving to the IRGC. So Iran's missiles are now doing two things. First, they are flying on more complex flight paths, making interception extremely difficult. Second, they are hitting with precision, thanks to inputs from Russia and China. That brings us to the latest US intel reports. They say Iranian missiles are improving. They are getting unpredictable, precise, and deadlier. On the other hand, President Donald Trump claims Iran's missiles are of no big concern.
They've lost everything almost militarily. They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much.
Clearly, Iran seems to have learned something. Missiles don't need to be the fastest, nor do they have to be the biggest. They just have to be annoying enough to ruin American ambitions. Now, on one hand, you have Donald Trump, who is desperate for options to get himself out of the quagmire in Iran. On the other hand, you have the Houthis, the Yemeni ragtag militia, who have already opened a new front, and they have set their sights on Saudi Arabia. Over the weekend, the Houthis launched a major attack. They fired ballistic missiles and drones. They struck Saudi Arabia's oil tankers, even Aramco facilities. That is the world's biggest oil company.
The Yemeni armed forces carried out two types of military operations. The first targeted sensitive targets at Aramco facilities in Jizan, using dozens of ballistic missiles and drones, while the second operation targeted sensitive targets at Aramco facilities in Yanbu, using ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones.
Now, this is not the first such incident Iran. It can travel nearly 150 kilometers and it costs just about $50,000 to make the missile. But the Houthis also rely on cheap drones, like the Shahed series, with some of the cheaper variants costing just $10,000. Basically, the Houthis are hurting the Saudi economy with weapons that cost less than what an average American makes in a year. And the Yemeni group says they're in no mood to stop the attacks.
We reaffirm that the maritime blockade imposed on the Saudi enemy remains in force in response to its aggression and unjust blockade, which has continued for 12 years. We will not hesitate to expand our military movements and escalate our actions in the coming hours and days, in line with our policy of blockade for blockade and escalation for escalation.
Now, there are two bigger questions here. First, where are Trump's guarantees? The United States has always projected itself as a net security provider, a pitch that was sold to Riyadh for decades. Today, when the Saudi kingdom is battling Houthi attacks, the United States is missing. And speaking of those missing in action, where is Pakistan? Islamabad has a mutual security pact with Riyadh. An attack on one is to be treated like an attack on the other. At least that's what the agreement says. Now, when it's about billion-dollar loans or weapons, Pakistan is usually the first in line. But when it's about keeping promises, Islamabad is nowhere to be seen. Which brings us back to the Bab al-Mandeb. It literally means the Gate of Tears, a fitting name. If the gate remains shut, there will be plenty of it. Saudi Arabia's economy is dependent on oil exports. It needs the strait to be open. But this is exactly what Iran wants. Tehran may not control every Houthi decision, but the two seem to be aware of one of the oldest sayings in geopolitics. Control the straits and you control the oil. Today, Iran has closed down the Strait of Hormuz and the Houthis are tightening the noose on Bab al-Mandeb. The war is no longer just about Iran. It has spilled into the Red Sea, into the world's shipping lanes, and into the Gulf's largest oil producer, Saudi Arabia.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 8, and verse 12. It reads, "And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by the reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound." Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is the brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp here in Trinidad. Alright, with another edification to the power and spirit of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai. Okay, first and foremost, we say, Kal Halayam La Allah Hayanawa Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai Baal Shem Kodash. Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, the elders, the great millstone that rule well. Alright, salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching this truth throughout the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat, which is the sisters that listening and learning. Alright, this is another installation of Who Say War. Alright, Who Say War. As you could see, there's a lot of things taking place, alright, pursuant to war. Alright, you have skirmishes taking place, lots of skirmishes. You have all-out war. You have arms race taking place and whatnot, so forth. You know, all in all, for one purpose. All right, all in all, for one purpose, which is Joel 3. Let's take a look at that. Joel chapter 3, and we could start at verse 9. Alright, we could start at verse 9 going downwards to like verse 14. So, but then I would want to go back up to verse 1 afterwards. Alright, so this is Joel 3 and 9, where it reads, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up." Alright, and this is what the Lord is doing. Alright, this is what the Lord is doing right now. Okay, gathering all these nations, gathering all these men of war. Alright, it says, "Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears." Alright, which is what? These nations, alright, they're investing heavily in the military. See, Trump just what day it was there during the course of last week or something like that. Alright, authorizing a $1.5 trillion boost within the military. Alright, that is to be shared within the US military and also the Israeli military and what have you, so forth. You know, you have, as we see in the clip there, Turkey investing more in the submarines, alright, for naval warfare. Likewise, you have the Israelis, you know, looking to buy basically a hunter-killer plane, alright, a P8 Poseidon, aka a hunter-killer, to hunt submarines and what have you, so forth. Alright, because they are very wary of the Turks, and you know, they're pushing a war-driven scenario towards the Turks, if you want to put it that way, for lack of better terms, lack of better words. Alright, you know, and then you have the situation with the Saudis and the Houthis and what have you, so forth, all these things. Alright, so the Lord has said what? What the Lord said? Alright, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Alright, put your plowshares into swords, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. Gather yourselves together round about you to cause thy mighty one to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be weakened and come up into the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit and what? And judge all the heathen round about, man. So this is what the Lord is doing. The Lord is stirring up, you know, these men, alright, with the leaders and these military men and what have you, so forth. You understand? For that battle, that great battle of World War III. Alright, that third war. Okay, you understand? It says verse 13, put ye in for the sickle, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Alright, so the time, this is the time here now. Alright, this is the time here now that we're seeing, alright, all what is taking place pursuing towards this third world war. Alright, the time is ripe. The time is ripe. The time is right. Okay, come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is near in the valley of decision, man. So there is where it is. Alright, the Lord is going to judge all these heathens round about. Alright, because, hey, what he said, Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8, it reads, Zephaniah 3 and 8, therefore wait ye upon me, say the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey, for my determination, this is the Lord's determination, alright, is to gather the nations, all these nations, alright, Moab, Ammon, Amalek, the rest of the house of Esau. Alright? Ishmael, all of them. Alright? All of them. There is the Lord's determination, His purpose, alright? To gather the nations that He may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, even my fierce anger. Alright? For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. This is the reason why, this is the main purpose for what is seen taking place throughout the four corners of the earth, pursuing to war and whatnot, especially over there in West Asia, the so-called Middle East. Alright? There's what it's saying. Alright? Nations gathering the weaponry, nations assimilating the men, accumulating the men, and what have you, so forth, who doing the attacks and whatnot, so forth. So yeah, it's not gonna draw back, as the scripture talk about. Who may drive away a hungry lion? You understand? Can any drive away a hungry lion? Whatnot, so forth. That arrow that is shot, who could turn it back? It's all going to go downhill from here. It done going downhill. It almost reached the bottom of the hill just for it to crash. There's where it is. Yeah? Wanna go to let's take a look at 2nd Esdras 15 and I believe it's 20. Yeah, 2nd Esdras 15 and 20, where it reads, alright, behold, say Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, I will call together all the kings of the earth, alright, to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, alright, and Lebanon, to turn themselves on one against another, alright, one against another, and to repay the things that they have done unto them. Who is in them? It's speaking about here, the children of Israel. Alright, because all these nations, they were in cahoots, pursuing towards the destruction of the children of Israel, and the name of Israel will be no more remembrance. Alright, in Psalms 83. All those nations within that list of Psalms 83, what you're seeing now is that the Lord turning all of them against each other. Alright? The Lord is turning all of them against each other to what? For them to go to war against each other. Okay? And destroy each other. There is what it is. Alright? You take a look at Revelation. Revelation, is it? Bear with me, Revelation. Alright, it's Revelation 16 and 16. Alright, Revelation 16 and 16. A matter of fact, I will read 16 and 12 and then go down to verse 16. Alright, this is Revelation 16 and 12, where it reads, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water Salakia, and the water thereof was dried up. Alright, was dried up. This prophecy has already been fulfilled. Okay, it has already been fulfilled, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Alright, and why did he prepare them? Why did he prepare them? What is the reason for that? Okay, verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Alright? Mountain of troops. Armageddon means mountain of troops. Alright? Which is what? The valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay? Over there in the so-called Middle East. Alright? There's what it is, man. Bring them down there for what? For their destruction, for their judgment. Right? There's what it is. Revelation 7 is Revelation 20 and 7. Alright? Revelation 20 and 7, because the main one to get the main one that the Lord has in his crosshairs to bring to judgment is Esau. Alright? Because all what is seeing taking place here is actually the working. Well, it's the Lord that you know, is the Lord that predestining, the Lord that, you know, doing it. Alright? But who are the ordained to be the wicked? Alright? What race of people, what nation of people they the ordained to be the wicked? Alright? To be the wicked that they have the power to steer the world into the direction that it is heading right now, which is total war, all out anarchy. Alright, this is Revelation 20:7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loose out of his prison. Alright, which is speaking of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the physical counterpart of the spiritual being Satan, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. You understand? This is what it is here. That great battle that is about to take place. This is why all this thing is going on right now. Alright, for that great battle. That great battle. That major battle that is about to take place, man. This is what it is. You understand? Who say war, man? Who say war? Because war is coming. Alright? War is coming. War is on the, matter of fact, not on the horizon, it's right in front of the door. It's just for you now, for you to open the door and see it coming to your house. Alright? So, hey, I hope you all are edified through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp signing out. Saying, Kal Halayam, La Alahayana wa Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone Natural Well. Salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching the truth throughout the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and the freedom to do so. Now more than ever, shalom unto the speckled good Israelites and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwad. Alright, so until then, we say shalom, yashallah, and let this place go down, man. Just smile and wave because it's done. It's done for. So just smile and wave. Shalom, yashallah.